Hannah Arendt once said, "Education is the point where we decide whether we love the world enough to assume responsibility for it." As a future educator, it is extremely important to me the methods that we are using to teach students in the classroom. There are many different forms of teaching, also called pedagogy in the education world, that are used across America. Resources for Rethinking lists 4 main sources of pedagogy that are used. The first is open-ended. This is described as when the teacher stands in front of the class and asks an open-ended question. This allows students to discuss and ultimately come up with a conclusion. The next is peer teaching, where students learn the material and then are required to teach that material to their fellow students. This can increase knowledge as it has been found that when you teach a subject, you yourself learn more about it. The next is lecture-based, which is the most popular and widely used in America. This is described as when the teacher stands in front of the classroom and lectures the students on the subject. The students then are required to take notes and are required to learn from those notes. The last is project-based learning. This is done when a project is used to teach the material instead of the teacher. As an educator, the pedagogy that I follow and tell people the most about is project-based learning. Project-based learning was described by Gonzalez in her blog called Cult of Pedagogy as learning concepts through projects and real-world examples. This means that she would give a project and then use that project to teach the students the lesson through discovery and investigation. Grant, from Getting a Grip on Project-Based Learning, said that project-based learning shifts the focus from originally being teacher-focused to now more is student-centered and therefore offers the students a more personalized education. Most students have done projects in their educational careers, but there's a difference between projects and project-based learning. TeachThought.com gives many reasons why these two are different, but the main two are that 1, projects are individual, meaning that students go home, do a project, and then bring the project back for the teacher to critique. Project-based learning, however, is done in the classroom as individuals or a group with a lot of teacher interaction, meaning that students work on their projects while the teacher is close by, so that if they need something or don't understand a concept, the teacher can assist them along with their project. The second reason that projects and project-based learning are different is that projects do not allow for students to make decisions. Project-based learning is all about investigation, and so when students are given a project, it is their responsibility to decide where they want to go with it. If they want to investigate one area of it, they go that way, or another way. It is completely up to them how they go in depth on this subject. Project-based learning has mainly been thought to be used in science and engineering classes as described by Technology and Project-Based Learning, an article by Ragone and Quayle. But there's an article called Project-Based Learning Not Just for STEM Anymore that describes the ways that it can be implemented in art classes, history classes, and many others, and therefore can be used throughout the entire school in every classroom. I believe that project-based learning should be used instead of lecture-based for 3 main reasons. Project-based learning increases student interest. Whenever a student has responsibility for their own project, they can take a more active role in their education. In a research article called A Review of Research on Project-Based Learning, it was found that 93% of students said that they were more interested in a subject because they were taught that subject through project-based learning instead of through lecture-based learning. The second reason is that it raises students' awareness of the subject's usability. And that means that because they are taught in a real-life example through a project, they can now see how that subject is used in the real world. And so it's now not just a subject on paper, but something that is useful to them and has a concrete definition for them. This can be found in Solomon's Project-Based Learning, A Primer. He describes the different ways that you can use project-based learning to raise students' awareness of the real world. Bloomfield and Krajcik, in their article called Project-Based Learning, also talk about how Project-based learning teaches critical thinking skills. Critical thinking is important no matter what you do after graduation. There are mainly two paths that students choose. They go into the workforce or they go to college. If they go into the workforce, they must have critical thinking skills so that they are able to actively solve problems. And if they choose to go to college, those critical thinking skills will help them in their classes all throughout their college career. And so, I choose to teach project-based learning because it has a higher retention rate, meaning students that will remember that knowledge for much longer through project-based learning than through lecture-based. Students have more enthusiasm for the subject, and they usually score higher on tests because of project-based learning. The main reason why I choose project-based learning is that I have seen it work. Whenever I go student teach, I use project-based learning, and the students always tell me how much they enjoyed the subject more and understood it because it was presented in project-based learning. And it is much more fun as the teacher and the student to learn through project-based learning, because it's not just students sitting behind a desk and a teacher at the board. Now the students are playing an active role in their education. And so, I believe that project-based learning should be implemented in all classrooms across America because of the benefits that it shows for students.